guys. So anyway, guys, hope you guys enjoyed the first speaker. For our next speaker, one thing notice that these pillows are not really being utilized. I would pretty much love to ask you guys to go over here and make yourselves comfortable.
Guys, sit on the rug. Comfortable yung rug. May beanbag ba yan? May pillow? Una kayo dun. Para mabilis na.
So, really curious question. A lot of you guys have not tried JavaScript yet? No? So everyone has had some experience with JavaScript at some point? That's cool, yeah? Yeah, you better. You're the next speaker. No, so anyway, it's really nice to know. You guys, so we have our next speaker. He's, Hi guys. So anyway, since it's my turn, what's your name? Come on, it's fun. So anyway, just curious guys, a lot of you guys develop JavaScript things around here, whether it be on Windows or actual implement gateways in server-side JavaScript. Yes, is that the case? Yeah. Okay, so I want a raise of hands. Who is working on anything JavaScript? Anything JavaScript? Yes? What about you guys? So, among you guys, anyone have a single test that goes JavaScript? We have like 4 people. So, anyway, for you guys, a little anecdote. So, anyway, my name is Rico, by the way. I forgot to introduce myself. Hi, my name is Rico. So, anyway, apart from putting together some events like these, I also occasionally program JavaScript. So, here's a problem we sometimes encounter in our work. By the way, he's one to ask questions. So anyway, we kind of develop web apps, like probably a lot of you guys. And the thing is, sometimes when you develop these apps, you run into the problem now, we get to a point now we need to exchange, but it might break other things. And it's kind of a bummer. And actually, it's a problem that's been solved many, many years already. It's called testing. And what we noticed with people that we work with is that people have this friction towards testing, you know, where it's updated. What makes that up yet? So, anyway, I want to plug my website because of that context. Right, so anyway, a lot of people get into this notion that find a way and test. I don't know about you guys, but I've heard a lot of people don't want to do it simply because they haven't looked into how to do it and assume it's extremely difficult. So anyway, I'm here to dispel all that for you. And like I said, Karina, there's no excuse for you not to do this. If you're working on anything JavaScript, anything cool to do with JavaScript, there's no excuse for you not to test it. And have you guys encountered any testing tools for JavaScript?
Jasmine,
right? Mocha, right? Guys, any preference? Jasmine, Mocha? Anyone ever tried that? Mocha. You guys like Mocha? Yeah. Let's talk about Jasmine. No, let's talk about Mocha. Mocha is very good. If anyone's going to try Jasmine, I suggest you don't. Alright, so Mocha, is that? Mocha, I really love this thing. You know, it's called Mocha. Those of you who are in your phones, check out Visual Media, whatever. Just go to Google, type in Mocha test. And here's the thing. Why am I talking about Mocha aside from all the things I said? It's extremely simple. And it kind of looks like this. It's just make your test like this. You do something and then you assert if it's equal or not. That's it. It's as simple as that. But a lot of people who I encounter who do not like to write tests, they do something like go to the console, like you want to inspect elements, and then just do something and then did it work, and then read right, and then they see it didn't work, so I go back and do the same thing again. And what they actually don't know is that exact thing can be automated very easily using something like and it kind of goes like this. It's extremely simple. So anyway, we're gonna start a new project here that has a test. You guys see? No. Oh man. It's writing something called describe intents. So essentially you put your tests in blocks. So what it's doing here is it's doing something like assert equal multiply by 7, which is like a ridiculous assertion, but in the real world you'll probably have something a lot more realistic. So anyway, it looks like this. It's like a block of things. A block of tests. So anyway, you put your tests in blocks. Kung ano man yung type sa console, you just put it here. And you can actually put as many blocks as you like. So here's the first block. It's just asserting 3 plus 5 equals 7, or you're going to make a new test later on, something like. So here's a file with 2 tests, and here's how it works. You have an assert statement, and that's what you use to assert things. It's basically just 3 things: describe, int, and assert. Then you save that as a file, and make another test. And once you save that, you just type mocha, and it actually works. So, I did not test it. So I keep it going. So anyway, it's a very simple tool. You just save this file as under a folder called test. And when you type mocha, it invokes it all. So again, it's making a new test, and you type mocha and it runs tests. Personally, I like calling it as mocha-r-spec, so it actually lists down what happens. So anyway, it's extremely simple. You just make a file, put in the actual things you want to do, and then run it. But there's no magic there. There's no big library to put into your project. It's just a JS file. That's it. That's how easy it is to get started. So it's really extremely easy. And if you guys not familiar, just run through the requirements. Of course, you need Node. Anyone know what Node.js is? Yeah. Cool. So anyway, for those who don't know, Node is a JavaScript for your console. I'm running a terminal here right now. So it's not really required for Mocha, for the purposes of this talk. We'll start off with something like this. And there's something called npm, which is like a repository of Node programs. So anyway, you just install from npm, hit npm install Mocha, and you type Mocha, and that's it. You have a Mocha command. So anyway, as you see, it just took like 2 minutes to install. Anyway, so it's all well and good. This is how it looks like in the real world. I have a project here called live markup. That's going to look it up. Here's what it is. It's just a directory of tests. You see, it's like a JS file. And in fact, let me just show you one of the tests. It's very simple. Again, it's like it does something that asserts 60 people. It's pretty much it. And this is an actual real world project that is out there. So it's an actual real world project that's out there. So this is a huge battery of tests. And if you just notice, some people think the testing is so slow. If anyone's been into Ruby world, it's kind of the case. The thing here is we're actually in JavaScript, which is like extremely fast here, just like mocha-r-spec, and it runs everything really fast like that. And what's pretty cool here is, since it's super flexible, we're able to do something like we integrated multiple jQuery versions and some command line tests against all these versions of jQuery. Wow. And again, it's super fast and super convenient. So Dispelling the myth that people feel like Lagavulin tests about right, the eventually rate test, the rate test takes like 30 seconds. Not necessarily, it takes like 2 seconds. So, yeah, it's usually at that point where people think like, that thing's on for me. I don't care about Node.js. I don't think that, I'm a jQuery kind of guy. Who likes jQuery here? Yeah. Who doesn't like jQuery?
No umamin.
So anyway, that's kind of the point where people feel like, kasi hindi naman para sa akin yan, hindi man ko, I'm not doing that server-side thing. I'm making pop-up windows and complex widgets for payment gateways. So that's kind of the thing about Mocha is, here's a really, really cool part. I'll show you. So it's actually something that has, if you do Mocha help, it says, initialize a client-side Mocha set up. Keyword being client-side, which, as you know, client means browser. Not really, but it's kind of the point, right? So anyway, here's what you do. You just type Mocha in it, something, and it makes an HTML file that looks like this. I know you can't see it. I know it's just like that. I'll do that for you. This is how it looks like. Title, blah, 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 some scripts, and that's it. Nothing else. However, what's really cool about this is it's not just like that. Okay, so anyway, you just type init Mocha, init, then a path, then it creates that HTML for you, like what I did here. So Mocha, init, my tests, then see my tests, and then it comes up with that HTML file that you saw a while ago. Now, again, it's extremely simple. It just really requires Mocha and then your tests, and that's it. So when you run it, it's backwards. It has the tests, and it actually works. So what you do is you get the file that it's trying to test, and of course you edit that, and you put it in your test like we did a while ago using the assertion here. But yeah, something you should try it out. And so it's like how you would a while ago. And then you open it in your browser. Except it breaks in your browser. Right? Anyone got to this point? No? So anyone tried Mocha? Yeah? Why does this happen? Because assert is not included. Yeah. Well, the thing is, assert is actually a Node.js construct. So it's not exactly available in Google Chrome or any of your browsers. So it kind of sucks. But not the fear. So there's something here called july.js, which is actually a really nice library. So anyway, so here it's a small library you usually use with Mocha, and here's how it looks like. If you notice, it's something that provides just some assertions like assert type of assert equal. Because they default assert not assert equal, nothing but assert. But this one has a huge list of other assertions. And the fantastic thing, Chai is available in your browser, not just Node.js like you do. So we're going to do here is get Chai, we'll download it, and include Chai over here. So you can Chai.js. And once you do that, open it again in your browser, and it should work. Right, so that's actually work. So far it's Mocha and Chai, and that's going to be pretty much all you need. So if you notice, this one is an actual project, like what you saw a while ago. If you notice, this is the index of it. It's kind of how it would look like in the real world. It has, of course, it's just loading Mocha and Chai stuff, and what are things it uses, which are underscore backbone, and the thing it's actually testing. And then below that is all the tests that says that. Huge battery of tests. So once you run that in your browser, it's going to work just like how it would in the console. Exactly the same. See? is it. You see it's passing 100%. It's great. So far, we've learned that Mocha can run with Node and testing your server-side stuff. And you can run on the browser and testing your browser-side stuff. Now, I said this was the cool part. I was like, this is the cool part. Well, I'm going to get into it, right? This is the cool part. So again, server-side tests in the console, browser tests in the browser. Now, what if browser tests in the console? That's mobile. So it's pretty simple, actually. Actually, I was like, Mocha can't do that. But there's a library you can use for JS DOM, which is an incredibly interesting library. Here's what it does: an implementation of the 3C DOM. So let's take a shot, you know what that means. But essentially, it implements a DOM API in Node.js. It still doesn't make sense. Essentially, it implements a browser in Node.js. That's it. A browser in Node.js, and you can use that to actually run your tests. And here's how it looks like. Here's an actual code of how we use JS DOM. So anyway, before is a Mocha construct. What it does is it means before any tests have been invoked this code. Before start an environment with this HTML, these scripts. When you're done, that's it. Run your actual test. So still doesn't make sense, right? So anyway, again, browser in the console. This is really cool. So this is a library that we're working on. It's called Simple App. Now it has nothing to do with Mocha, but again, those of you who want to see, there's a JS DOM test in this project that you can check out. And I'm going to show you how it actually works. So anyway, here's Simple App running in the browser, in the console. See, it's running the actual tests, and it does the same things in the browser. And if you move that way to the right, it's actually the same thing happening in the console and in the browser. And why is this important? Probably it's not important. But the thing is, these tests run lightning fast in the console, but you do a change, probably do Control-R in your browser, wait for it to finish, and then do the error. There's something like that. In the console, it just happens in like 1 second the test runs. There's, that's why it's very important, because it's extremely fast. So, it works in the browser and in the console. Also, if you have an open source library, this means you can have those tests in Travis CI. Everybody covered Travis CI? So essentially, it's a service wherein it notifies you by email if your project is broken. How cool is that? It tells you the moment your project breaks. And the way it does that is it runs the tests every time something happens in your project. So essentially, you just use Mocha. You know when your project breaks the second it happens. It's amazing. So it's all well and good. Let me show you some actual code of real tests that happen. Again, you can't see it, but this is coffee script testing in Mocha. And you see, if you ever tried Ruby, it's even cleaner than Ruby. You test something and expect this to be good. So those of you can understand this, just digest that. It's extremely terse code, which is why I love it. It's so expressive. Coffee script there. Here's how it looked like with backbone models. Notice it's essentially the model does stuff and then serves that to HTML. That's the same way. So you can actually test backbone or Ember, underscore, or Angular, anything it is that you're using. Or if possible to do it. Here's a test with backbone collections. If you notice, this is a very simple test. I'm not going to explain it, so for those who want to see, just check it out. So anyway, these are real-world tests and how it looks like out there. And here's one testing a router in the backbone. Notice by the way backbone by itself. Yeah. So if you notice, it does navigate, ensures that those routes are called. Very simple and very cool. And it's good so far. Cool. So, anyone have any questions? Okay, Mr. Ryan.
Considering that most people here are what we call front-end developers, they're not really familiar with the concept of automated testing.
Hey, not everyone here is a front-end developer, right?
Well,
guys?
mostly, I guess.
Okay, so yeah.
They're not listening, so they don't really care. I can hear them talking
Yeah,
behind
guys are
me.
listening.
So, what resources can you recommend to them such that they would have a good foundation in test-driven development or just automated testing as a whole? Books or videos? That what convinced you to do it?
Okay, I can't. The thing is, I can't answer you any specific books to look at. Sorry about that. But I can tell you what convinced me to do it. Usually, first of all, scenario one. Some of you might know I maintain open source libraries, right? What some of you might know is like you make some open source library, work on it for like 1 month a lot. After that, medyo parang got busy with life. Right? Then you come back to it 6 months later, someone finds a bug, and you can't even remember how it works, right? Now you have to manually inspect that to see if it actually breaks anything. Now if you have tests, people could look at it, figure out how it works, and then automatically see if your project breaks with someone's contributions. I think that's a perfectly wonderful thing. It's one thing that got me involved in it. And number two, I assume not everyone of you is into open source, probably working on your own projects, right? Same thing kind of happens in the same project. Work on something, when we got it working last year, and then now there's like, the client comes back and hey, we have more money to throw at you. Just have to fix this thing you did last year. And now you do some refactoring changes and you don't know if it actually broke anything because you have no idea what you did last year. So things like this is amazing. One of the things that tests solve, which is just takes your mind off that cycle of trying to figure out if it's going to break something or not, because something is going to tell you if it actually breaks or not. So I think it's a really fascinating tool. Whether you're a front-end or back-end developer, if you're writing any sort of code, I think it's great. Let me just do the last one. As you guys, some of you might be doing CSS, design work. The thing is, I don't think there's people are doing tests in design, right? But actually, something we've been doing in our company is we're testing design. So what we do is we have a page in a web app, for example, that shows these are the form styles. So if anyone breaks any form styles, that page is going to visually tell you which row. So it's not exactly an automated test, but we found that that sort of thing is very crucial. It's something very helpful in design. And it's pretty much the same idea. You need something to refer to see if anything broke. And I think that's perfect. All right. Does anyone else have any questions? All right. Well, I assume you guys know.
Can you give us a copy of that? Copy of your presentation? Are we allowed?
Sure. That's probably like 100 MB. Give me your email. I'll figure out a way to send it.
Question here.
Yes. Sorry. Oh, hello. Your name, sir? How are you, man?
Hi, Carl.
So, yeah.
Beginning testing.
Yeah.
Sometimes I feel like I test too much, and I don't know the guidelines. Maybe I'm testing like testing too much. There are some maybe I get
Right. So that is the thing. If you ask 10 different people how to do testing, you get 10 different answers. But I can tell you what my answer would be. First of all, if you're going to test a third-party library, that's belonging validation. We're done that library is not doing testing it, right? It's really one. Number two is, how do you know you're testing too much? Probably not. Yeah, you're probably not testing too much, just making tests. Because tests are good, right? So, sorry, honestly, but it's kind of, I think it's pretty much it, the more the better. Probably at a point we're in, because eventually tests will break, right? If it becomes too much of a chore to fix it, then maybe it is too much. But then again, it's something that you will have to remember on your own. Usually the problem is you're testing too little. So, okay, OJ.
Yes. So this is more of into the economics of testing. Do you actually bill your client for the test or the
Yes. It needs to be, I think.
And number two, if they don't agree about you billing them on testing, what would you suggest?
Okay, it's a very mental philosophical question, right? Now I think you really need it. You really need to build that because here's the thing. Imagine I'm building a payment gateway, right? And then I build it, and then it's built, and then eventually they say, sorry, we're not going with Dragon Pay anymore, or we're going with Master Pay. Some ridiculous change like that, which is actually reasonable but really terrible to do. Now, if you actually have tests, there's a reference for you to check if you do something, and then you know if it's going to break something, rather than you actually manually going through the actual code one by one to see what broke. Now, essentially, once you go to that scenario, mas mabilis ka. Diba? So it's like you invested some time in the beginning of the project to make it faster eventually. Now isn't that something worth building? Something that makes you go faster. Like say you have a high rate, yung per hour, wow, $100 per hour. Feel mo naman, I wish $100 per hour. Kasi taas yung bill mo, pero they ask you, bakit mataas yung rate mo? I work fast, you know? And I work fast because I make these tools, you know, these. So it justifies those billing, right? Now, that's kind of a multi-layered question kasi baka naman maybe if you need to bill it, maybe you bill it. And you feel like it's too much, maybe you need to lower your rate. So that's another layer. Well, wait, no, last now is how do you convince your clients? Next question, please.
So you're suggesting that test-driven development is made for all kinds of development scenarios?
Okay, maybe.
So not all.
Okay, this is something difficult to say. How about you guys? I want to pose this question to you guys. Anyone doing test-driven development right now? Is there any point wherein you're not, any project you're supposed to not make tests?
I think there's a clear difference between testing and unit testing by the.
Oh, yeah.
So I think because this is the unit testing by the developer, but testing by the QA, that's an entirely different thing.
Oh, yeah. Actually, that word test is acceptance testing. Right. Oh, yeah, definitely. Kailangan din naman yun. And unit testing does not replace acceptance testing, or the other way around, I think. So are you asserting you probably don't need to make a unit test because
coming from this point, there's more to doing elegant code than in development. There's really doing actual delivery. If it is a time-sensitive project, then and your project manager is rightfully pushing you to deliver, then I mean, how do you find the sweet spot?
Now here's the thing. It's more of a personal thing for me. I think, and again, if asked different people, they'll get different answers. But I think there's actually some point where in unit testing becomes integral part to your development cycle. I mean, for me to build this feature, actually need a test to build that feature. That's kind of stepping about as a TDD. I think there are some meron ganon. Now, again, you have to differentiate between unit testing and integration testing because there's a difference. You guys know the difference between integration tests and unit tests. So for those who are not, it's essentially what you do in a unit test is, let's say you have a pop-up, and when you click X, it closes. Then you have a test, initiate a pop-up, click the X, then it closes, yes or no. And that's like a unit test. It's testing one little self-contained part of your application. But what if it's like, say, a test wherein, okay, let's simulate logging in, then add the part of the card, check out the card, and then did it actually save the record? No, that's an integration test because actually testing multiple layers. Now the thing is, integration tests are very expensive. They're hard to do, they're taking long to run, and they're probably taking too much time. Now, if usually on the other side of the unit tests are some of them are very cheap, very little, and you know. Now here's what I usually do for super small projects that, as you say, do not need testing. What about you set up a test, go to the home page, kung may laman, pass, kung walang laman, fail. That's super simple test, but that will catch many errors already. I don't know about you, but every now and then I probably come to an employee wherein it has no styles because something failed to do, some CSS thing, and then I'm totally fucked. Now if I set up some sort of, it's actually one called a smoke test, which is just check the site, does it have a CSS in it? Yes, pass. That's like a smoke test. It's like such a simple thing to do. So maybe at least that. So any other questions? Well, okay, I think we're taking up too much time for this. So anyway, so that has been testing for you guys. And